Okay, good morning. So we're up to Zimun Kuf Tzadi Tes. This Zimun deals with who can actually join the Zimun. Al mi mezamnin val mi ein mezamnin. Says the Mechaber in Sif Aleph, Hashamash she'achal kazayis mezamnin olav. So the shamash in the days of old would wait, sort of be the waiter. He could join in the Zimun. So if you've got two people eating, and then the waiter is sort of serving people, etc., he can join the Zimun. It says Mishnah Berurah, Sha'af shelei kova atzah b'shulchan emohem, even though he's not actually sitting at the table, Sha'eichel me'umad, because he's eating standing up, v'gam hoilech u'ba be'emtza achila, so he's going backwards and forwards, ve'ein lo kvias klal imohem, and he's not considered the proper kvias, afilu hachi mitzdarv, nonetheless he joins the Zimun, shekivin shederech achilasa bekach, zui kviasa, that's just how a shamash eats, and therefore that is kvias for him. If you take a look at number one, he says, what about nowadays? What if you're in a restaurant, you're out with another person, you're sitting and having a meal, and the waiter is serving you? Does that count or not? So take a look at footnote 1 of his manenu, Kosva Kafachayim, Sheshamash Einam Mitzdarf. Nowadays, a shamash is not going to help you. Shirak Bizman Talmud, Shashamash Hayonotel Yodov. In the days of old, he would wash your hands and he would eat, and therefore he can be mitzdarf to your zimun. The waiter doesn't eat, not with you, maybe later in the evening or something, but he doesn't eat with you, imam subim, or with any of the people in the restaurant. Einam mitzdarfim, or the wedding, whatever. Einam mitzdarfim vehisik sha'adav v'tolib b'minhag hamakomas, and therefore it depends very much on the minhag hamakom. V'chein kosav hastei chemed. However, the das Rabbi Yisrael Yaakov Fisher says she'ein chiluk bein shamash shebizman haTalmud v'shamash bizmanenu. He says there's no difference whether the shamash of days of old or the shamash nowadays, and therefore you want to pull the waiter over to sit down and join your zimun. According to the Fisher, it would be allowed. So it seems to be machlokas haposkim nowadays whether or not the waiter could join your zimun. Okay, base kuti bizman hazeh. A kuti is in the times of Chazal there was a suffix whether he was a Jewish or not Jewish. He was part of some sort of sect, if you like, from whether he's considered properly Jewish. And later Chazal decided not, and that's what the Shulchan Orach is codifying. Kuti bizman hazeh, harihu ka'ovid avodas ililim, he's considered not Jewish, ve'ein mezamnin olav, and therefore he would not be able to participate in your zimun. Okay, no Mishnah Berurah on base. Gimel, am ha'oretz gomor mezamnin olav bizman hazeh. And am ha'oretz gomor, someone who is totally unlearned, he can partake in the Zimun. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sifkot and base. Am ha'aretz gomor. The Gemara Amrinan in the Gemara it's we learn afilu kara v'shana v'lo shimish tamidei chachamim. Even somebody who knows how to learn chumash v'shana and knows how to learn Mishnah v'lo shimish tamidei chachamim, but does not serve tamidei chachamim. It's not like an apprentice. He's never sort of sat with them to observe their ways. Which means to understand what we would probably call Gemara nowadays, to understand the reasons of Mishnayos, to ask questions and to answer them. That sort of level of person, ein mezamnin love. Even though he's a real Amoritz who does not know Chumash, does not know Mishnah, nonetheless, nowadays, mezamnin olav bizman hazeh, we do include him in the Zimun. She'im hayu parshim mehem. Why? Policy reason. That if we were to sort of exclude him, hayu gam heim parshim not tzibur gamrei. They would totally detach themselves from the tzibur, and who knows where that ends up. However, if the person is not keeping any Torah publicly, kagoin she'ina kari krish ma shachris va'arvis. Sorry, I didn't mean publicly. That's coming soon. But he doesn't do something which is very clear. For example, everyone knows you've got to say Kriya Shema. So he doesn't do something which is so mefursim, which is so well known. For example, he doesn't say Kriya Shema Shachris V'Arvis Yesh Omrim She'af Al Pisha Mezamnin Olav. Even though you can include him in the Zimun, you can include him in the Zimun. V'das HaMogen Avram Shebezeh Ein Mezamnov. He says no. The Mogen Avram says you should not include that person in the Zimun. The Bezeh Kivin DeBechlal Yisrael Karen Kriya Shema V'Lo Chashin LeKulim Mashim Mefurish Asmenim Yechidim She'ein Karen. We're not worried. Klal Yisrael read Kriya Shema. So if he chooses not to, so we're not worried about the fallout. And that's how many achronim conclude. That's what I was thinking about. But then certainly someone who's a Rosh and is doing things brazenly in public, the Ein Mezamnin Olav, you don't include him in the Zimun. Now if you look at number 2, important footnote. Nowadays, what about a person who's not religious? Can they be included in the Zimun? If they're living in a Jewish area where there are people who are Shomer Torah mitzvahs, they know what from life is like. They're just choosing not to, and they prefer a life of abandonment. And therefore they cannot join your Zimun of 3 or of 10. Then he quotes the Shad in Shuvas Pnei Mevin, Kosev shekim shemechalim Shabbos b'Hesya, toiv lanu im misrachik mehem ve'elam mistarfen Zimun. However, b'Shad Shuvas Be'er Moshe Kosev, shehayonei kasheyesh hasora rak b'tzirav mechalei Shabbos ledalig b'Zimun al tevus Elokeinu. If you've got none from people included in your 10, to leave out the word Elokeinu. However, v'das hagon Rishlam Ezam Orach v'gon Chaim Pinchas Sheinberg, she'im heim begedet tinoka shenishbu. Famous case. Yeah, if they are considered a tinuk shenishba, i.e., they never had the privilege of a Jewish education, they didn't know better. Mezamnin imohem, you can include it in the Zimun. Aval ein roy levachabdom sheyu heim hamezamnin. So according to Shlomo Zalman and Rabbi Sheinberg, you can include a non-religious person who's got begeder tinuk shenishba in your Zimun. Better avoid being mechabat him to him to lead the benching, to say the Rabbi Say Nevarech, but he can be included in your 3 and in your 10. Okay. We've said that before. It's not absolutely clear that he has to answer. That it's not. But L'chara, you're right, and you can tell him this is what we're going to do. And at home we've got the NCSY benches, and if in that situation he's got the transliteration, so he knows what to say. Even in English, that minimally would be okay. All right, let's do that. It just takes 1 minute. Yeah, Ovid kechavim ein mezamnin olav. If he's a non-Jewish person, then he cannot join the Zimun. Even a ger who's had Mila but has not had Tefillah, ein mezamnanov, because he's not properly Jewish yet. Avol ger gomor mezamnanov. But if he's a proper ger, that means he's now fully converted. Then for sure he can be joining the Zimun. And he can even say that even though it wasn't technically, biologically, if you like, his forefathers. And the Mishnah Berurah will explain, even if the non-Jewish person says, I'll join your Zimun and I'll think of your God, that still is not good enough. His V'lo Toval, he may have had Mila, but he hasn't yet toveled. It means in a proper basin of 3. That's not considered not toveling if he hasn't done it in front of a basin of 3 dayanim. He's got to do both Mila and Tefillah. But a ger gomor who's done everything, then you can. He can be mitzi other people who can't bench, or he needs to be mitzi others. A ger gomor is 100% a Jew, and therefore he can do that. And he can say Lavosenu, the fish Avram, Nitna Haaretz, Lemerosh of Avram Nikra Av Hamoin Goyim. And Avram Avinu is called Av Hamoin Goyim. If you look at number 5, he says that's the Shulchan Aruch says that previously in Nun Gimel, Shenitchu Divrei Ha'omrim, Shege'in Yochel Li Shliach Tzibur, because there is an opinion which says a ger can't be a Shliach Tzibur. But the Mishnah Berurah says that he absolutely can, because he's considered Av Hamoin Goyim.